beside my lute and tied them under crimson thread. The morning found me wide awake with half a question in my head. The road was old, the sky was pale, the trees leaned close to hear my name, and every stone beneath my boots felt warm with some forgotten flame. I told them I was going home to ask what blood and silence knew, but truth has teeth beneath its tongue, and I have felt them breaking through. Take me down the road again, where roots remember, rivers know, where every song I thought was mine was planted long ago. Take me where the white leaves fall, where hidden blood and secrets stay. If I must learn what made my voice, then let me not look away. Lirael walked beside the dawn with ember sight behind her gaze. She watched my soul like candlelight, burning through too many days. Hildrex traced the empty air where fate had tangled, bent and torn. She said my thread refused the rules, like something older had been born. Uv just smiled and held my sleeve as if no shadow dared come near, while Nim complained his feet were cursed, then stole my apple without fear. Take me down the road again, where roots remember, rivers know, where every song I thought was mine was planted long ago. Take me where the white leaves fall, where hidden blood and secrets stay. If I must learn what made my voice, then let me not look away. I left behind the louder halls, where Cedric's shield still caught the sun, where Serena laughed with holy fire and Yvessa cursed at everyone, where Solon whispered near the graves, where Moog made breakfast spark and scream, where Carly chased the wider world like waking from a forest dream, where Argel stood with blade in hand and watched me like a coming storm, not frightened by the thing in me, not begging it to stay informed. So take me down the road again, where roots remember, rivers know, where every song I thought was mine was planted long ago. Take me where the white leaves fall, where hidden blood and secrets stay. If I must learn what made my voice, then let me not look away. My mother waits where pale trees bend with silver hair and winter grace. She loved a man she could not hold, whose truth left shadows on her face. He left no grave, he left no throne, he left no name that stayed the same, just songs that tremble in my bones and pull the world beneath my flame. I do not know if I want proof or just a wound with cleaner edges, a father's voice, a father's hand, a promise free from buried pledges. And if the stars refuse to guide, and if the dark denies his claim, I'll sing until the silence breaks and gives me back his name. Take me down the road again, where roots remember, rivers know, where every song I thought was mine was planted long ago. Take me where the white leaves fall, where hidden blood and secrets stay. If I must learn what made my voice, then let me not look away. By dusk the forest changed its breath, the branches bowed, the shadows thinned, and far ahead through gold and gray my homeland waited in the wind. Nim said the place looked far too clean, and Uv asked if trees could bite. Hildrex watched a silver thread crawl backward through the coming night. Lirael touched the air and frowned as if a hymn had brushed her skin. She said, "This place remembers you," then would not name what slept within. Bring me to the door again, where blood remembers, silence knows, where every lie my father left has learned which way it grows. Bring me past the girl I was, bring me I hear the shape of my name. With lanterns soft as sleeping stars, the gates were carved with old spring flowers and names I knew from childhood scars. I stepped beneath the silver branches and heard the wind forget its tune. A woman smiled and called me little, though I had left beneath this moon. The road behind me held its silence. My friends stood close but not too near, and every window glowed with welcome that somehow tasted close to fear. Home should know the child it made. Home should keep the years in line, but every voice that spoke my name remembered someone almost mine. Sing me true, old village stones, tell me what you learned to hide. Why does every open door feel warmer on the wrong inside? An elder took my hands and trembled, then laughed as if the laugh was planned. She said I sang before my first words and blessed the river with my hand. I never sang beside that river, I never walked that bank alone. Yet children pointed to the water like it had once become my throne. Nim leaned close and whispered softly, either you were very strange. You've said maybe baby singers are a normal elven change. Home should know the child it made. Home should keep the years in line, but every voice that spoke my name remembered someone almost mine. Sing me true, old village stones, tell me what you learned to hide. Why does every open door feel warmer on the wrong inside? Lirael stared through painted shutters, seeing embers under snow. She said this place has many memories, but not all of them happen so. Hildrex watched the air beside me where invisible threads were crossed. One path says you left here weeping, one says you were never lost. I laughed because the words were heavy and I was tired of looking scared. Then someone sang a childhood chorus I had written but never shared. Home should know the child it made. Home should keep the years in line, but every voice that spoke my name remembered someone almost mine. Sing me true, old village stones, tell me what you learned to hide. Why does every open door feel warmer on the wrong inside? The baker knew my favorite honey, though I had never bought his bread. The shrine girl bowed and called me blessed one, then bit the title back in dread. A carved old bridge began to humming when my crimson cloak drew near, and all the bells above the rooftops rang once, though no hand was there. Oof asked if bells were friendly. Nim said, depends what they owe. Hildrex did not blink or answer, watching silver shadows grow. If home is made of memory, then who has touched the wall? If I was only one small child, why does the whole place call? If father walked these pale old streets with secrets in his breath, did he leave songs beneath the roots, or something worse than death? Home should know the child it made. Home should keep the years in line, but every voice that spoke my name remembered someone almost mine. Sing me true, old village stones, tell me what you learned to hide. Why does every open door feel warmer on the wrong inside? curved moonlit marble beneath the white and bending trees. I saw her standing near the fountain, graceful as a winter breeze. Silver hair and quiet eyes, the face I feared, the face I knew. My mother smiled like folded sorrow, and all my questions crowded through. The village hushed around her shadow as if the night had held its breath, and in my chest the song went silent, waiting at the edge of death. Home should know the child it made. Home should keep the years in life. But every voice that spoke my name remembered someone almost mine. Sing me true old village tones, tell me what you learned to hide. Why does every open door feel warmer on the wrong inside? Mother waits beneath the lanterns, father waits in every flame, and somewhere under all these memories, the village sings the wrong name. The fountain, stone and white beneath the lantern glow, with silver hair like winter silk and eyes like mine from long ago. The village bowed around her smile, the air grew soft, the bells grew shy, and Nim with all his fatal charm said, "Madam, did you fall from sky?" I felt my soul leave through my boots, who blinked twice and looked at me. Hildrex froze like carved amethyst, Lirael chose not to see. There she was, the woman in white, graceful as moonlight, sharp as a knife. Home had teeth and a mother's grin, and Nim stepped proudly right into sin. Sing it loud through the village square, silver leaves and scandal in the air. Some songs start with fate and flame, this one starts with flirting shame. He swept a bow too deep to trust and offered her his stolen pair. He said, "A jewel among these trees deserves a rogue of wit and flair." She smiled the smile of ancient elves who know exactly where knives hide, then said, "How sweet, a tiny scandal with very confident stride." I crossed the square with murder calm, my lute held low, my smile too thin. Nim looked at me, then looked at her, and knew the grave had let him in. There she was, the woman in white, graceful as moonlight, sharp as a knife. Home had teeth and a mother's grin, and Nim stepped proudly right into sin. Sing it loud through the village square, silver leaves and scandal in the air. Some songs start with fate and flame, this one starts with flirting shame. I said, "That is my mother, Nim." He made a sound no bard should quote. His soul packed bags and fled the scene. His courage died inside his throat. The lute came down with perfect grace, not hard enough to split his head, but loud enough for every ant to hear exactly what I said. Do not flirt with family trees when you do not know the roots. He nodded from the cobbled ground beneath the rain of stolen fruits. There she was, the woman in white, graceful as moonlight, sharp as a knife. Home had teeth and a mother's grin, and Nim stepped proudly right into sin. Sing it loud through the village square, silver leaves and scandal in the air. Some songs start with fate and flame, this one starts with flirting shame. My mother touched my crimson cloak and sighed like seasons turning slow. She said, "You have my voice, my grace, my talent for dramatic woe. You have my cheekbones, thank the stars, my eyes, my pride, my stubborn ways." Then looked me down and calmly added, "Not my breast, but we give praise." Oof, gasped like this was prophecy. Hildrex coughed and looked aside. Nim, still flattened near the fountain, chose at last to swallow pride. There she was, the woman in white, graceful as moonlight, sharp as a knife. Home had teeth and a mother's grin, and Nim stepped proudly right into sin. Sing it loud through the village bells above the square went quiet as the dark came down. She led us through the garden arch where moonflowers watched the pathway bend. I walked behind her like a child and like a stranger near the end. She said, "Your father loved this place but never fully stood within. Some men carry heavy secrets. His felt older than his skin." My hand closed tight around my lute, the bunk, the joke, the square behind, and every laugh became a candle held against what we might find. There she was, the woman in white, graceful as moonlight, sharp as a knife. Home had teeth and a mother's grin, and Nim stepped proudly right into sin. Singing soft through the garden air, silver leaves and secrets there. Some songs start with jokes and shame, then open doors no one can name. There she was, the woman in white, holding the past in pale starlight. And though I laughed, I felt the same. The road had brought me back to flame. Withdrawn from silver glass, my mother closed the garden doors and let the village lanterns pass. She touched the chair across from her, the one where no one dared to sit, as if the wood remembered him and still kept something warm in it. I asked the question like a blade, too old to sharpen, still too near. Tell me what my father was. She looked at me and called it fear. Mother knows the first lie, the one love learned to keep. The truth too wide for candlelight, the name too strange for sleep. Mother knows the first wound, the silence under flame. She loved him as a mortal man, but never trusted his name. She said he smiled like morning rain and spoke as if the stars could hear. No beast would run when he walked by, no child would cry when he drew near. He knew old songs no elder taught, and maps to places none had seen. He wore his kindness like a cloak, but something vast moved underneath. He never lied like guilty men, she whispered pale beneath the light. He lied like truth was far too large to fit inside a single night. Mother knows the first lie, the one love learned to keep. The truth too wide for candlelight, the name too strange for sleep. Mother knows the first wound, the silence under flame. She loved him as a mortal man, but never trusted his name. I asked if he had loved us both. She smiled before her eyes grew wet. He loved you before you breathed and feared the song you had not yet. He held my hand beside the hearth, then watched the doorway in the rain, as if some crownless court might call and drag him back through hidden pain. He went off into the old stone deep, where roots grow pale and voices fade, a dungeon older than our shrine, where even sunlight seemed afraid. Mother knows the first lie, the one love learned to keep. The truth too wide for candlelight, the name too strange for sleep. Mother knows the first wound, the silence under flame. She loved him as a mortal man, but never trusted his name. She gave me then a narrow case of moon pale wood and tarnished thread, inside a broken silver string still humming. Though the note was dead, he left this on the final dawn and told me if our daughter's safe the door beneath. The hymn will wake and answer her with older things. My breath became a fragile sound. My fingers shook around the frame, for when I touched that broken string, it trembled softly with my name. Mother knows the first lie, the one love learned to keep. The truth too white for candlelight, the name too strange for slave. Mother knows the first wound, the silence under flame. She loved him as a mortal man, but never trusted his name. No grave, no throne, no years in line, no mortal proof, no holy sign, only a road, only a song, only a love that stayed too long. She said I loved him as a man, but some nights, child, I feared the same, that I had loved a stranger wearing mortal sorrow, mortal shame. Not monster, no, and not a king, not saint enough to be so clean. But when he looked beyond the world looked back through him unseen. I held the string against my heart and heard the far-off dungeon call. Not loud, not cruel, not kind, not safe, just waiting underneath it all. Mother knows the first lie, the one love learned to keep. The truth too wide for candlelight, the name too strange for sleep. Mother knows the first wound, the silence under flame. She loved him as a mortal man, but never trusted his name. So take me where his footsteps sank, where hidden doors and old stones claim. If blood can carry buried songs, then mine will answer flame. Doors groaned, don't open wide, like they were paid to sound profound. Dust fell down in silver sheets, and Nim sneezed himself to ground. My mother said the records sleep where names grow old and ink grows thin, then smiled the way old mothers do. And trouble has already been. Ravel lit a candle soft, Hildrex cracked her knuckles slow. Ooh, asked if paper screams when ancient secrets start to show. Turn the page, mind the dust, old lies rust, but they still bite. Find the name, lose the date, something here does not sit right. Sing it low through shelf and frame, past the ink and candle flame. If father walked through mortal years, why does time forget his name? We found a book of village verse with tidy lines in careful hands. My name was there in crimson ink beside my mother's woodland lands. But where my father should have been, the letters blurred, then crawled away. Nim leaned close and whispered, nope, then wisely stepped behind a tray. Hildrex touched the empty line and watched her claws disturb the air. She said this record fought me back like that was normal archive fare. Turn the page, mind the dust, old lies rust, but they still bite. Find the name, lose the date, something here does not sit right. Sing it low through shelf and frame, past the ink and candle flame. If father walks through mortal years, why does time forget his name? Then ooh, found the portrait hall and waved us over with delight. Lirael is on this wall, she said with far too much excite. I turned and saw a cracked old face with sunken cheeks and haunted glare. One eye crooked, varnish peeled, and possibly a squirrel in hair. Hildrex nodded grave and calm, that one resembles you, she said. Nim collapsed crushed against a shelf and laughed so hard he nearly bled.
Turn the page, mind the dust.
Old lies rust, but they still bite.
Find the name, lose the date.
Something here does not sit right. Sing it low through shelf and frame, past the ink and candle flame. If Father walked through mortal years, why does time forget his name? I said that corpse with cheekbones lost in murder painted in one eye. Hildrek shrugged, you elves look sane when varnish has enough time to dry. Ooh, squinted, tilted left, then whispered, maybe nose is true. Nim said the haunted wall auntie just have a little bit of you. I raised my lute in warning stance and suddenly the laughter fled. Even dusty portraits seemed to lean away and play dead.
Turn the page, mind the dust.
Old lies rust, but they still bite.
Find the name, lose the date.
Something here does not sit right. Sing it low through shelf and frame, past the ink and candle flame. If Father walks through mortal years, why does time forget his name? But jokes grow thin where ink grows strange and old wood hums beneath your feet. One portrait laughed without a mouth, one book refused to stay complete. A Ravel found a shrine report from twice 3 centuries before. The same man named beside a seal, the same mark carved above a door. My father's sign was written there before my mother's birth. A silver string, a crownless note, a map that pointed under earth. Hildrex traced the dates again, and every thread bent out of line. No mortal walks this many years and leaves no wound upon the time. The room went cold, my laughter stopped. The portrait eyes turned toward the floor, and somewhere deep beneath the hill I felt a song behind a door.
Turn the page,
Mind the dust, old lies rust, but they still bite.
find the name,
Lose the date, something here does not sit right. Sing it loud through shelf and frame, past the ink and candle flame. If Father walked through mortal years, why does time forget his name?
turn the page.
Hear the stone, something waits below his claim, and every record left behind has learned to fear my father's name. The road grew thin with silver moss, where sunlight pooled in golden scars. The trees leaned close like gossiping priests beneath the roof of waking stars. Then Oov stopped with shining eyes and pointed deep between the leaves. A shape moved there with burning horns, and light curled softly from its knees. Its antlers glowed like temple fire, its hide was dusk and molten gold. Too bright for traps, too proud for fear, too strange for any tale we told. Oov whispered, full of wonder, is that dinner standing there? Nim choked once, then hid behind me like the meal had heard the prayer. Do not eat the sun flare's tag, do not grab the sacred beast, do not turn a forest omen into glowing dinner feast. Laugh now while the road is bright, while the trees still let us speak. Some wonders start with foolish hunger, then make even rogues feel meek. I said, ooh, no, that is sacred. She blinked and looked sincerely pained. Hildrek sighed with ancient patience, a Ravel almost smiled restrained. Ooh frowned at all of us like wisdom had been poorly cooked. But it glows, she said, confused. That means cooked and spicy look. Nim said, I admire the theory, but I enjoy remaining whole. Hildrek said, touch that creature and fate may personally eat your among the roots. No snarl, no charge, no frightened cry. It only watched us through the gold with sunrise burning in its eyes. Do not eat the sunflare stag, do not seize an holy flame, do not mistake a sacred guide for something with a dinner name. Laugh now while the road is bright, while the trees still let us speak. Some wonders start with foolish hunger, then make even rogues feel meek. The forest changed its breathing then, the jokes fell quiet one by one. The leaves above became a choir of green and white around the sun. It looked past Hoof, past Nim, past fear, past claws and jokes and travel dust. And when its burning gaze found mine, the world grew strangely still and hushed. I felt no spell, no hunting stare, no challenge wrapped in golden light, but something old that knew my song before I learned to name the night. And slow beneath the silver trees, before the road, before the flame, the sunflare stag bent down one knee and bowed beneath the weight of my name. Blessed walks the sunflare stag, bright with memory, bright with flame, and it lowered all its glory to the silence around my name. No more laughter, no more hunger, only wonder, only light, as if the forest knew a truth it had been guarding through the night. Her hands and whispered, "Sorry, spicy friend." Nim said nothing, which was rare and maybe frightened me again. Ravel bowed in reverence till Drex watched the threads align. Each silver strand around the stag bent softly inward into mine. I raised one trembling hand to sing, one note escaped unsure and small. The clearing answered back in gold, and light moved through the branches. All the stag rose up and turned away where no clear path had been before, but roots withdrew and stones awoke and opened like a hidden door. Blessed walks the sunflare stag through the hush of root and stone, not as prey and not as hunter, but as guide to what was known. Lead us onward, sacred fire, through the trees and fading day, where the songs beneath my blood wait buried under clay. No feast, no chase, no blade, no claim, only a bow before my name. No map, no mark, no mortal sign, only the road as steps left mine. We followed through the amber mist, past bark carved deep with ancient rings, past stones that hummed beneath my boots like sleep had filled them full of strings. At last the stag stops near a hill where roots embraced a broken frame. A buried door beneath the earth waited cold beneath the hymn. It turned to me one final time with neither pity, threat nor pride, only the grave and golden look of something old that chose to guide behind us. Oof, softly asked, still not dinner, almost low. Nim said, "Please let one miracle survive this trip before we go." Blessed walks the sunflare stag through the hush of root and stone, not as prey and not as hunter, but as guide to what was known. Lead us onward, sacred fire, to the door beneath the hymn, where blood and echoes, gods and silence wait in caverns cold and dim. Was gone when morning thinned to gold along the buried stone. Its hoofprints burned in silver moss, then faded like a secret shown. Before us slept a root-bound door, half swallowed by the patient hill. No lock, no hinge, no mortal mark, and yet it waited, breathing still. Nim reached once with careful hands, then pulled them back and shook his head. No thief should touch a door like this unless he likes waking up the dark, was listening before the song. Open slowly, ancient stone, wake beneath the root and rain. I have crossed the white leaf road to hear my Father's name. Open softly, hidden door, do not roar and do not claim. If my blood has brought me here, then answer to my flame. Then answer to my flame. Lirael knelt near the frame where pale roots wrapped the carvings tight. She said the wood held ember scars from souls that passed beyond her sight. Hildrex watched the empty air where silver threads began to bend. All paths stop here, she murmured low, or maybe this is where they end. I held the broken silver string my mother gave with trembling grace. It hummed against my open palm like it remembered his face. No book had taught the note I felt, no master shaped it in my chest. It rose from somewhere under fear and would not let my silence rest. Open slowly, ancient stone, wake beneath the root and rain. I have crossed the white leaf road to hear my Father's name. Open softly, hidden door, do not roar and do not claim. If my blood has brought me here, then answer to my flame. I sang one note, uncertain, thin, a thread of sound in forest air. The moss grew bright beneath my boots, the roots drew back as if in prayer. The door did not break open wide, it shivered like a sleeping thing. And deep inside the carved old stone, 1,000 buried echoes rang. Not voices yet, not words, not cries, just pressure shaped like memory. The kind of sound a place might make when forced to wake from history. Nim forgot his clever mouth, Hildrex lowered both her claws. Ooh, whispered Lirael, look as a light moved through the ancient flaws. Open slowly, ancient stone, wake beneath the root and rain. I have crossed the white leaf road to hear my Father's name. Open softly, hidden door, do not roar and do not claim. If my blood has brought me here, then answer to my flame. No key, no crown, no blade, no art, only a note beneath my heart. No map, no sign, no lantern flame, only a door that knew my name. Carvings change beneath the light, old hymns unfolding line by line. A silver string, a crownless star, a hand that almost looked like mine. I saw no face, I heard no speech, but something vastly near the wall. Not cruel enough to be a curse, not kind enough to trust at all. Then slowly with a grave old sigh, the roots released their hidden seam. The door beneath the hymn awoke and opened inward like a dream. Open slowly, ancient stone, wake beneath the root and rain. I have crossed the white leaf road to hear my Father's name. Open softly, hidden door, do not roar and do not claim. If my blood has brought me here, then answer to my flame. Cold arrows from underneath, with dust and iron age and sleep. The dark below did not feel empty, it felt patient, old and deep. I turned once back toward the trees where golden mist had veiled the way. The forest watched with silver leaves, but had no more advice to say. Open slowly, ancient stone, we have heard the root and rain. Now I walk where he once walked to seek my Father's name. Open softly, hidden door, hold your hunger, hold your claim. If my blood has brought me here, then I will answer flame. Down below the old world waits, under moss and buried sin, and every echo held its breath as we broken light and died again beside the door. One ghost screamed without a wound, one crawled through blood that was not there. One begged to name the dark forgot, one clawed at empty dungeon air. Nim drew steel and lost his grin. Ooh, stepped wide to guard my side. Hildrex watched the silver threads and said their endings were denied. They never left, they never fell, they die again beneath the stone, caught in the teeth of the echoes. Hell, forgotten, bound alone. Strike the dark, break the chain, let no soul be trapped in flame. If my voice can wound the world, then let it heal their names. They came at us with phantom blades, with hollow eyes and mouths of cold. Their armor rang with ancient fear, their fingers clutched at vanished gold. But every time we drove them back, they shattered into light and cries, then rose again from where they fell, with death replayed inside their eyes. Lirael's ember sight burned bright, she saw the truth beneath the screams. These souls are trapped upon repeat, not ghosts but wounds inside the dream. They do not know the fight is done, they do not know their bodies die. The dungeon sings their final breath, then forces them to stay inside. They never left, they never fell, they die again beneath the stone, caught in the teeth of the echoes. Hell, forgotten, bound alone. Strike the dark, break the chain, let no soul be trapped in flame. If my voice can wound the world, then let it heal their names. Hildrex cut a thread of fate, it snapped and grew again in place. Oof struck hard with crystal claws, but sorrow filled her shifting face. Nim threw knives through ribs of smoke, then cursed because they rose once more. They are not fighting us, he said, they are still dying from before. A woman ghost reached out to me, her voice cracked through 100 tries. Opened the door, the song is wrong, then vanished under her own cries. I felt the power in my chest, the awful storm. I feared to free the same wild force that bent the world when ooh at once merged with me. They never left, they never fell, they die again beneath the stone, caught in the teeth of the echoes. Hell, forgotten, bound alone. Strike the dark, break the chain, let no soul be trapped in flame. If my voice can wound the world, then let it heal their names. Lirael said, rewrite the room. Hildrex said, and what fate repeats. Sylph whispered, make them rest, while Nim stood silent at my feet. No crown, no law, no prayer, no blade could free the dead. The echo made till I sang low, then I sang wide and tore the loop from the inside. The walls bent back like wet black glass, the air split open sharp and bright. Each ghost rose still between two deaths as my song reached into the night. I sang this pain was never yours to carry past your final breath. No stone may own your broken names, no song may counterfeit your death. The dungeon screamed through every crack, but I held firm and sang again. Not to erase the lies they live, but break the cruel repeating end. Their faces changed from fear to grief, then grief to peace, then peace to flame. One by one they turned to light and whispered back their stolen names. They never left, but now they rise, no longer chained beneath the stone, freed from the teeth of the echoes. Life remembered, named unknown. Strike the dark, break the chain, let no soul be trapped in flame. If my voice can wound the world, then let it heal them. When silence fell, it fell too deep. No blade, no cry, no phantom breath, only the dust of broken loops and mercy standing after death. Lirael lowered both her hands, her ember sight still wet with gold. Hildrex watched the severed threads finally loose and finally fold. Ooh held me like I might break. Nim looked away and cleaned his knife. No joke escaped his clever mouth. Some songs cut deeper than a life. Then far below the dungeon stirred, as if my mercy woke its claim, and something answered in the dark with many mouths. The ghosts were gone, the hall was still, their final names like ash in air. But mercy leaves a ringing wound, and something woke beneath despair. The stones around us softly pulsed with a light too old for torch or spell. Like every wall had swallowed years and kept the taste of each farewell. Lirael touched the nearest mark, her ember sight began to rise. She stared beyond the dungeon wall, and to Hildrex and Nim shared her eyes. Echo, echo, what did you see? What did these old stones keep from me? Some truths arrive with holy flame, some arrive to ruin your name. Echo, echo, hush your light, something should not glow this bright. If the past decides to speak, please let it not attack my cheek. The chamber bent around her gaze, not stone, not ghost, not memory. A shimmer formed of breath and song, a scene that should not let me see. She said, this is strange, which never means a peaceful thing. The dungeon holds impressions here, not dead, not dream, more like echoing. Then stopped. That pause could kill a king. Her cheeks turned warm with ember red, my throat went dry, my boots went cold. Nim leaned forward like a fool about to purchase death with gold. Echo, echo, what did you see? What did these old stones keep from me? Some truths arrive with holy flame, some arrive to ruin your name. Echo, echo, hush your light, something should not glow this bright. If the past decides to speak, please let it not attack my cheek. I said, Lirael, finish it. She said, perhaps we should move on. Hildrex blinked, then looked at me like fate had spilled wine on the dawn. Of chorus smiled and waved hands. Is it a happy echo thing? Nim inhaled to make a joke and almost signed away his living. Hildrex moved before the word, one clawed hand sealed his mouth shut tight. His muffled wisdom shook the room and failed to reach the mortal light. Then Lirael whispered low, this place remembers when you were made. And every torch along the wall turned red around my name. Echo, echo, what did you see? What did these old stones keep from me? Some truths arrive with holy flame, some arrive to ruin your name. Echo, echo, hush your light, something should not glow this bright. If the past decides to speak, please let it not attack my cheek. My face became a warning flare, my ears went sharp, my soul escaped. Nim thrashed once in Hildrex's grip, as if one joke could not be caged. Oh, tilted her soft head and asked, why is Lirael red? Did the dungeon make her spicy? Should I worry what it said? I pointed at the glowing stone and said, we never speak of this. The dungeon answered with a pulse which felt too much like smugness. The laughter faded into awe as Lirael raised her hand. She said, these moments are not kept the way a mortal mind has planned. They are impressions pressed too deep, where soul and fate empower me. A living mark in wounded stone, still warm beneath our feet. Hildrex let poor Nim breathe, but kept one warning claw in view. He nodded like a holy man who suddenly found wisdom true. I swallowed hard and touched the wall. The light withdrew, but not in shame. It curled around my fingertips as if it recognized my name.
beyond the hall with patient stone and hidden flame. And somewhere deeper in the dark, an echo learned my name, 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 name.
Echo, echo, now I see you are more than memory.
Some truths arrive with holy flames, some arrive and leave us changed. Laugh while you can, old dungeon stone. Your secrets blush, your shadows claim. But I will walk where silence points until it gives my father's name.
The blush had faded from my face, but not the heat inside the stone. The hall ahead was breathing low, as if it hated being known. We found a chamber sealed in glass, not glass that mortal hands had made it. Bent the torchlight into hymns and turned our shadows pale and frayed. A fragment floated at its heart, no crystal bone or metal bright. It looked like silence given shape and pressure dressed in holy light. What are you, little star, buried where no sky can see? Why do you wake when I draw near? Why do you answer me? What are you, broken flame, shaped by hands I cannot name? If my father left you sleeping, why do you know my name? The floating shard, and every scar inside it glowed. The dungeon held its ancient breath. The roots above forgot the road. It did not shine like gems or spells. It listened first, then turned to me, as if my voice had been a key, as if my blood had memory. I sang one note, barely born, a silver wound inside the air. The fragment answered with the same and pulled the sound from everywhere. My knees went weak, my fingers shook, my lute strings hummed without command, and something vast beyond the stone almost reached out like a hand. What are you, little star, buried where no sky can see? Why do you wake when I draw near? Why do you answer me? What are you, broken flame, shaped by hands I cannot name? If my father left you sleeping, why do you know my name? The book nearby, beneath a seal of silver thread, its pages turned without a hand to words no living mouth had read. Then I read the script aloud, my sight went cold and wide. God realm matter cast below, where mortal laws are torn aside. No forge of earth, no mind, no grave could birth a shard of such design. It carries weight from higher halls, where thought and song become the light. What are you, little star, buried where no sky can see? Why do you wake when I draw near? Why do you answer me? What are you, broken flame, shaped by hands I cannot name? If my father left you sleeping, why do you know my notes in stranger ink, some bent away from candle flame. Some words refused the mortal page whenever they approached his name. My father's mark was written there, a silver string, a crownless sign beside a phrase that would not stay. Like kneeling language broke its spine. He came through song, the margin read, or maybe song came through him first. The letters changed beneath my eyes, like truth itself had been rehearsed. Not mad, not king, not state, not shade, no title held, no answer stayed. Only the sense that when he spoke, the dark below obeyed. No throne
was named, no God was shown, only a wounded mortal stone. No proof was kind, no truth was whole, only a shard that knew my soul. I touched the book, the chamber rang, the fragment burned with silver rain. For just one breath I saw a sky too close to thought, too bright for pain. A realm of doors without a floor, where songs were lores and stars were scars, where names were crowns too huge to wear, and silence moved between the stars. Then something turned beyond that light. Not face, not form, not mortal frame, and all the strings inside my blood pull tight around an absent name. What are you, little star, buried where no sky can see? Why do you wake when I draw near? Why do you answer me? What are you, broken flame, shaped by hands I cannot name? If my father left you sleeping, why do you know my name? Raviel closed the ancient book, but still the chamber softly sang. The fragment dimmed, yet not asleep, more like a bell after it rang. She said, your father touched this power, Hildrek said, or it touched him. Uv held me closer still, while Nim looked down the corridor dim. After mercy cracked like bone beneath a temple bell. The ghosts were gone, but in their place the lower dark began to swell. 1,000 whispers climbed the walls in voices stolen from the dead, and something dragged itself through stone with many mouths beneath one head. Faces bloomed across its chest, its shoulders sang, its elbows cried, its skin rolled back in rippling seams where smaller lips were sealed inside. Sound came first before it moved, the air shook hard, the torches bent, and every note it forced alive smelled old, afraid, and violent.
Stand and fight,
No rewriting now, no second dawn, no broken law.
steel and claw,
Flame and vow, hold the line against them all.
sing through terror, strike through pain,
Break the choir, cut the chain. If the dark has many tongues, we answer back with blade and lungs. I reached for power deep in me. The world bent, stormed the dangerous art, but nothing answered, only smoke and thunder bruising through my heart. A Ravel saw my weakness flare and stepped before the shrieking tide. You spent that miracle on mercy, now let us keep you alive. Hildrek lunged through silver threads, her sword struck fate where flesh had failed. Nim slid low beneath its arms and cut the knees that screamed and wailed. Ooh, became a crystal storm, acid edges, shifting frames. She roared with love and fury both, and carved our courage into flame.
stand and fight,
No rewriting now, no second dawn, no broken law.
steel and claw,
Flame and vow, hold the line against them all.
sing through terror,
Strike through pain,
break the choir,
cut the chain. If the dark has many tongues, we answer back with blade and lungs. The choir sang with stolen words. Open the door, the song is wrong. Daughter below, father above, stay with us, we suffered long. One face wore tears, one face grinned wide, one begged for death, one cursed my name, another sang my childhood tune with rotten teeth and God realm flame. I staggered back, my voice went thin, the thing had found a wound to bite. Then Nim threw dust into its eyes and shouted, ugly things off right.
with blade and lungs. One breath, one note, one blade, one cry. We fight as five or five will die. Raviel burned with ember fists. Each strike revealed a trapped old soul. Hildrex cut the binding lines that stitched the horror into whole. Ooh, wrapped its lower spine and dragged it screaming to its knees. Limb drove steel through whispering ribs, then vanished laughing through debris. I sang not law, not fate, not change, but courage sharpened into sound. The dungeon shook beneath my voice as if it hated being drowned. Together then we broke its song. One mouth, one limb, one cry, one scene. The twisted choir split apart and collapsed like a murdered dream.
Stand and fight.
No rewriting now, no second dawn, no broken lore.
Steel and claw.
Flame and vow, hold the line against them all.
Sing through terror.
Strike through pain, break the choir, cut the chain. If the dark has many tongues, we answer back with blade and lungs. For one long breath the chamber stilled. The broken faces smoked like coal. Ooh stepped back with dripping claws. Nim said good hate, singing holes. Hildrex watched the ruined mass. Her eyes turned sharp, then sharp with dread. A Raviel whispered no, that thing was not alive or dead. The bodies did not fade to dust. They folded inward, wet and slow. Bone to wave and mouth to scale as deeper currents began to glow. The walls bent back, the floor gave way. The choir's throats became one roar, and something vast began to rise from what we thought we killed before.
Stand and fight.
But not yet done.
No
victory beneath this storm.
The broken choir
Becomes as one, and we are not alone.
through terror, strike through pain.
The dark has changed its shape again, from many mouths to one great cry. The dungeon opens one more eye. Down below the echo wakes, larger than our fear or flame. And from the choir's dying throat, a leviathan takes its name. Its mouths became a single roar. The chamber split from wall to spine and drowned the stones beneath the floor. From all those throats one body rose, a living wave of scale and scar. Its hide was layered memory with fissures pulsing like a star. Its jaw stretched wide beyond all law, with bell teeth ringing through the deep. Each note struck blood, each breath broke stone and shook the roots above from sleep. This was no ghost, no bleeding dead, no face that grief had left behind. This was the wound beneath the wound, the dungeon losing shape and mind. Rise, Leviathan, rise from the chain, ancient hunger, echo flame. We strike the storm, we hold the line against the roar beneath all time. No rewrite left, no mercy key, only blade and song and broken plea. If this is where the deep things wait, then let the old world hear us break. Oove's arms became claws of glass, acid crystal shifting bright. She caught the first wave on her arms and screamed, but did not leave the fight. Hildrex carved through silver threads, but fate slid loose around the beast. Its future changed with every coil, its past had never been released. Nim ran where the stone collapsed, too small for jaws, too quick for doom. He drove his dagger in one crack, then vanished through the falling gloom. A rebel struck with ember fists, her soul fire flared against the tide. But when she punched the monster's hide, 1,000 broken prayers replied.
did not hunt me like a beast. It turned as if it knew my breath. Not hatred, not hunger, not command, but kinship born from something's death. Its gaze was vast and wrong and young, a child of ruptured song and stone, a thing the echoes made from pain that thought my blood might be its own. I sang to wound, I sang to shield, my voice was steel, but steel can bend. The Leviathan answered back with notes that tried to call me friend. The dungeon shook, the ceiling tore, old roots came screaming through the black, and every strike we gave the thing returned as thunder down our backs. Rise, Leviathan, rise from the chain, ancient hunger, echo flame. We strike the storm, we hold the line against the roar beneath all time. No rewrite left, no mercy key, only blade and song and broken plea. If this is where the deep things wake, so let the old world hear us break. Not personal, not cruel, not mortal wrath or spite. It was collapse with teeth, it was disaster given life. Not monster, not God, not ghost, not living sea. It was the dungeon's broken heart reaching out through me. Then ooh fell beneath its coil, Nim shouted, lost in dust and stone. Hildrix bled from open threads, Araviel stood burning alone. I tried to sing the world aside, but nothing answered, nothing came. My power sparked and died in me, a match beneath the mountain flame. The Leviathan opened wide, its bell teeth rang the killing note. The chamber cracked around our bones, the dark reached deep into my throat. And then a voice behind all sound cut through the roar, calm as the sky, not loud, not near, not fully there, but vast enough to make God's lie.
Not on my watch. The words became a silver spear, a god ray tearing through the deep.
It struck the beast from crown to spine and split the nightmare from its sleep.
The Leviathan screamed in light,
Its echo hide began to burn. The walls unveiled a hidden scene. The ancient chamber dared return.
none saw the hand that cast the rain.
None knew the song inside the flame, but every string within my blood
Rang once around my father's name.
fall. Leviathan, fall from the chain, ancient hunger, echo flame.
The storm is split,
The path is mine, opened by a hand beyond all time. No rewrite left, no mortal key, only blood that answered me. If Father's light still guards this place, then I will walk into his trace. Fall, Leviathan, fade from the deep. Let the buried chamber wake from sleep. The old door burns, the shadows part, and God realm fire unlocks the heart. The Leviathan fell into light, its roar dissolved in silver rain. The chamber breathed behind its corpse, as if released from ancient pain. We walked through ash and broken sound, past scales that rang like dying bells, past echoes curling into dust, past walls that whispered old farewells. The god ray still burned in the stone, a wound of dawn through dungeon night, and every step I took toward it made my blood remember light. The ooze my hand, Nim forgot his clever mask. Hildrex watched the threads unfold. Lirael dared not ask. Show me the name no book can hold. Show me the truth behind the flame. I crossed the dark beneath the hymn to find the shape he gave his name. If love was written into stone, if blood was left to bear the claim, then let the page resist my eyes, but not the daughter who remains. Who remains. There in the deepest hidden room where no old torch had ever burned, a record floated over stone and every page slowly turned. The script was silver, black and gold, not ink, not blood, not mortal art. It moved away from every gaze, then folded inward near my heart. My father's mark was everywhere, the silver string, the crownless sign, a note that bent the candle flame, a hand almost shaped like mine, but where his true name should have stood, the letters broke, dissolved, returned as if the word itself refused the fragile page on which it burned. Show me the name no book can hold. Show me the truth behind the flame. I crossed the dark beneath the hymn to find the shape he gave his name. If love was written into stone, if blood was left to bear the claim, then let the page resist my eyes, but not the daughter who remains. Hildrex whispered, do not force it. Names like this can tear the thread. Lirael bowed her burning eyes. This is not written, it is bled. Nim looked smaller in the glow, his dagger lowered at his side. Oof said maybe he was scared, and somehow that was worse than pride. Then words appeared beneath my hands, not clean, not whole, but close enough. I loved her more than law allowed. I chose the mortal shape of love. I knew our child would hear the wound. I knew the echoes would draw near. So I left doors and notes and songs for when she came despite her fear. Show me the name no book can hold. Show me the truth behind the flame. I crossed the dark beneath the hymn to find the shape he gave his name. If love was written into stone, if blood was left to bear the claim, then let the page resist my eyes, but not the daughter who remains. The record shook, the letters bent and rose like sparks from buried coal. I was no scholar of this place, I was bound to its first hole. The god realm pressed against this world, its shard was not a thing I found. I carried fire across the veil and hid it deep beneath the ground. If she reads this, then I failed, or else the seal has grown too thin. If she sings where I once stood, the higher dark may look within. Tell her I did not leap from shame. Tell her I did not love and flee. I became the lock below, so she might have a life from me. No grave could hold him, no year could claim, no mortal ink could keep his name. No throne confessed him, no prayer came through, only the page that broke in two. I touched the final burning line and felt the god ray in my veins. The same bright force that split the beast now answered softly through my pain. No one else heard what I heard, the hidden note beneath the flame. Not proof enough for open mouths, but blood knew blood before a name. My mother loved a man of stars who wore his sorrow like a face. He loved her back with mortal hands, then vanished into buried grace. I did not find this simple truth, no father waiting warm and whole. I found a love that broke a god and left its echo in my soul. Show me the name no book can hold. Show me the truth
the hymn to find the shape he gave his name. If love was written into stone, if blood was left to bear the claim, then let the page resist my eyes, but not the daughter who remains. I left the dark beneath the hymn, with dust and silver on my skin. The stone behind me still breathed low, like it remembered where I'd been. I came for truth in mortal shape, a father's face, a simple name. Instead I found the echo's wound and watched it answer to my flame. No song returns a child unchanged from halls where older silences wait. I walked back out through broken light, with blood rewritten by its weight. I know the echoes now, I know they live in wound and fire. I know my voice was never small, it climbed from something higher. I know the dark remembered me before I learned what I became, and every step beyond that door still trembles with his flame. The fragments knew me when I sang, not spell to spell, but vein to vein. It answered with a listening light that curled around my hidden name. The dungeon kept what time could not, the pressure of my first design. A father's clues in buried stone, a path arranged to cross with mine. He was no scholar chasing myths, no mortal man with borrowed lore. He walked to win God realm fire and left its song within my core. I know the echoes now, I know they live in wound and fire. I know my voice was never small, it climbed from something higher. I know the dark remembered me before I learned what I became, and every step beyond that door still trembles with his flame. I used to think my songs were mine, a talent sharpened into art, but now I hear the deeper thread, the older music in my heart. The wound in stone, the seal below, the hidden shard, the speaking page. They were not pieces left by chance, but lanterns lit across an age. And if my life began inside a place where mortal laws grew thin, then maybe I was always meant to hear the worlds beneath the skin. Not accident, not only song, not simple blood, the whole time wrong. Not just a child of grief and flame, but something calls before a name. I do not leave with every truth, there is no throne, no final dawn, no easy word to name. A God whose absence shaped me all along. But now I know enough to fear, and enough to stand and still go on. That love was real, the danger too, and both were waiting in the song. My father left no hand to hold, only a path through dark and claim. Yet somehow in that buried place I learned the weight beneath my name. I know I turned to leave the deep, took a fragment from the stone. No roar, no curse, no final wrath, just stillness old enough for bone. Then through the hush it answered once, not loud enough to shake the air, not meant for halls or gods or graves, but only for the blood I bear. A whisper slipped through silver light, so soft the dark itself gave way. One word, no more, and yet it broke the shape of everything I'd say. I know the echoes now, I know they live in wound and fire. I know my voice was never small, it climbed from something higher. I know my father touched the stars and left their ruin in my flame. And as the fragment breathed one word, I finally heard my name.
Lirael, I love you, my dear daughter.
The dark fell still, the path lay wide, and I walked on with him inside. I came back home with dust in my hair and silver light beneath my skin. The village watched through white-leaf doors, like it knew where I had been. The road behind me felt too small, the sky above me felt too near, and every bell that should have rung kept silent, waiting still to hear. I know his name now, yes I know the hidden shape beneath the flame. But gods are not called for nothing, so I will not speak his name. Some names are doors, some names are flames, some names should never rise for hunger, pride, or pain. I carry his truth, but not his claim. A daughter may remember without calling down his name. My mother stood beneath the trees where pale dawn touched her winter hair. She looked at me and did not ask what broke, what burned, what waited there. I saw the love she never buried, I saw the fear she never said. The man she held with mortal hands was more than memory in her bed. She knew enough to wake for truth, but not enough to name the sky. And I knew more than I could give without making old wounds cry. Some names are doors, some names are flames, some names should never rise for hunger, pride, or pain. I carry his truth, but not his claim. A daughter may remember without calling down his name. Now I know why home sang wrong, why strangers smiled with borrowed years, why children knew the songs I hid, why old stones tasted like my fears. The echoes touched the village roots before I learned to walk or breathe. They pressed too deep into the world and taught the leaves what to believe. Memories so fierce they woke, so full of love they learned to move, so full of grief they shaped the air, so full of song they turned to proof. The echoes are wounds, the echoes are lights, memories burning so deeply they step back into sight. They little star from under stone. It pulsed once softly in her hands, as if it knew it was not alone. "This much is yours," I told her then, "not all the truth, but something real. A piece of where he touched this world, a piece of what he tried to seal." She held it close against her heart, and for one breath looked young and lost, as if the years between them broke and love forgot what silence caused. Some names are doors, some names are flames, some names should never rise for hunger, pride, or pain. I carry his truth, but not his claim. A daughter may remember without calling down his higher halls demand their due, then let the stars remember this. I know the name that answers true. The village seemed more honest now, not healed but seen beneath the bloom. Its crooked memories were not lies, just echoes flowering from the tomb. I kissed my mother's trembling brow, then turned before my courage thinned. My friends were waiting past the road where new songs gathered in the wind. I left one truth inside her palms and carried one beneath my breast. The crystal stayed where love began. The name came with me toward the rest. Some names are doors, some names are flames, some names should never rise for hunger, pride, or pain. I carry his truth, but not his claim. A daughter may remember without calling down his remain. Memories burning so deeply, they learn to live again. I walk back changed but not alone, with his name kept silent, and my song finally my own. I left the village calm and wise, or so I tried to make it seem, with godly secrets in my chest and dignity held by a seam. The road was soft, the dawn was kind, the white leaves waved a fond goodbye. Then Nim dropped low upon one knee and ruined all beneath the sky. He pressed one hand against his heart, his grin was sharp, his bow was broad, and said, "Command me, my goddess." I nearly introduced him to a god. "Do not call me goddess, do not bow, do not begin. I am tired, I am mortalish, and your face looks good unbroken. Do not call me goddess, do not make that little grin. If divinity runs in my blood, then patience did not come with him." Around
face away, but I could see her shoulders shake. Hildrex made a sound like stone, had chosen not to fully break. Nim looked delighted with himself, the way that only fools can do. He said, "Forgive me, Holy One, should I tithe my stolen stew?" I said, "One more word, quick fingers, and I will smite you with this lute." He gasped, "A sacred instrument." I said, "A blunt one, very cute." "Do not call me goddess, do not bow, do not begin. I am tired, I am mortalish, and your face looks good unbroken. Do not call me goddess, do not make that little grin. If divinity runs in my blood, then patience did not come with him." Then Uve looked between us all with honest worry in her eyes. "I have a question, Lirael, and it may be sister-sized. I was made to be a god, but not a good one, maybe failed. And you are child of maybe God, whose name makes books go pale. So if I am almost God, and you are sort of godly too, does that mean we are sisters now? Can sisters share my snacks with you?" Do not call me goddess, do not bow, do not begin. I am tired, I am mortalish, and your face looks good unbroken. Do not call me goddess, do not make that little grin. If divinity runs in my blood, then patience did not come with him. My anger tripped and fell apart, because her smile was soft and bright. A failed artificial god, asking family rights. I said, "Ooh, I do not know if gods have siblings made in vats, but if we do, then yes, perhaps you are the best one." After that, she hugged me like a closing door and nearly crushed my ribs in two. Nim whispered, "Blessed sisterhood," then ran before my lute flew true. Hildrex said, "This is absurd," but did not sound displeased at all. Lirael said, "Let her laugh, the divine can survive small." I said, "No temple, no new cult, no prayers before we eat." Nim said, "What about hymns?" I said, "I'll play one on your feet." So now I walk with holy blood and one forbidden father's name, a plasmoid sister at my side, and one rogue begging for flame. The echoes wait, the gods may watch, the road ahead may split and bend, but if the heavens want respect, they should not send me these friends. For every truth too vast to hold, for every star that haunts my skin, there is a halfling at my heels calling my goddess. Let me in. Do not call me goddess, do not bow, do not begin. I am tired, I am mortalish, and your face looks good unbroken. Do not call me goddess, do not make that little grin. If divinity runs in my blood, then patience did not come with it. Do not call me goddess, but if who've asked, let it be. Failed god, God touch Bard, fine, she can be sister to me. No shrine, no crown, no sacred throne, no prayer song